Right, hello. Right, we got everything set up. Hi, I'm Myth. I am going to be taking over the stream here and doing some Echoes of Wisdom. I did some Minish Cap Rando the other day. But yeah, this is Echoes of Wisdom. We had a speed run from Joyce earlier this week. That was an any percent speed run. This is going to be a bit more of the game. It's going to be all dungeons. So we're going to be doing things very similar. GG's Moogle. Yeah, that shuffler looked nuts. Like, yeah, I can't, I don't know how I would be able to do that. I don't know. It's also I'm just like so focused on like one game or like one or maybe two games. I couldn't play that many different games and keep them all in my head at the same time and do all of them. That's crazy. That's so cool. And I think if that's I hope I had the audio just come through there. That go through okay. All right, my audio, yeah, my mic audio should be going through well. Um, I'm just trying to make sure that that anyone in the Discord will be able to hear when I will be heard on stream when they come. Joish is gonna be coming in about half an hour to commentate the second half of the run. And then they'll be doing their own game afterwards. So just checking, is the audio okay from the game, or is there anything weird to it? Anyway, we will get going. I do want to. I completely forgot to do this in advance. Set up the timer offset for the um, the intro skip at the beginning. Yeah, unfortunately, my time is going to just be inaccurate by several minutes. I don't have the offset up right now, so I'm just going to have to go and we'll just take that into account at the end that like the final time's not accurate or whatever. It needs an extra like 6 minutes added onto it. But yeah, we shall just get going. Right. Yeah. Three, two, one, go. So one of the first things that we have is like just also I'm gonna be running all of the intro skips and stuff because we already see the run from Joash earlier this week is an 90% run, and we watched all of the cutscenes during that. So this is all dungeons. We're going to be doing different stuff, so to keep it as different as possible from any percent, because any percent is already quite similar to this. We're just gonna cut out as much of the sections that are overlap as possible, and just focus on the things that are different. Yep, so we've got the prologue section of the game here, which is we're just going to be playing as Link for a little bit, and before the Ganon fight here, we already saw what this looked like before, but we've got a quick kill here for Ganon. We just use a combination of the bomb shoes and bombs. So we fire 3 bombs there and fire an arrow to blow it up. Bombs do a serious amount of damage on Ganon. It's great to quick kill this guy with this, and that's Ganon. Cool. And we're just gonna close out the game here and skip all of the intro cutscenes and everything. It's about 7 minutes of cutscenes from this point. all the way up to like entering the castle, going to the jail. We're just gonna go into the jail and we're just gonna carry on. I have already set up a file in the jail from on a different profile. So I was playing on a different profile just now, and all I've done is I've just swapped to this point. There's nothing you can do any differently other than just go and watch the cutscenes and progress to this point. So yeah, it's just a bunch of cutscenes that we just skipped out on, and we just keep going. All right, so we got guards. Yeah, we're gonna be employing some speed strats here to get past the guards quickly. Like they'll spot us and they'll run after us, but we can just evade them. Yeah, we just place down some beds and just jump over them. Like yeah, they're gonna chase after us, but if we get through quickly enough, they shouldn't be an issue at all. Yeah, the guy behind me has lost sight. I go up here and place a bed there. He gets confused. And then over here, I place a bed there. Just do a little turnaround and, yeah, place the beds down. Very consistent strat. Completely stops them in their tracks. And that's a super consistent way of being able to get through the guards without getting caught. There are slightly faster strats. We can... Joey showed it off in their any percent run, but you hold the like the echo staff ready to like place down an echo, and like just before where the echo is that you want to place it, you jump and then release it. And normally when we place down the echoes, we get a little bit of a stun. Like we go stationary, and then Zelda does the animation of like holding the rod out. And in the when we're mid-air, we don't have that happen. Zelda continues her momentum and trajectory, so if we're using any echoes in the air, we can just like negate that stun effect, or like that any of that slowdown. So it's most optimal to use an echo mid-air. One of the other considerations when you're doing that as well is that the game has like a grid system, and a lot of the object echoes that you place down wants to snap and grid align themselves. So depending on exactly where you're stood, you may be like right up against it when you place it, and you won't like your jump won't quite get up on top of it, or you'll place it and you'll be slightly too far away. And you won't quite like your jump won't quite make it. But yeah, that is all the major cutscenes at the beginning of the run dealt with, and now I'll show off some of these like echo jumps here. So you can jump, place an echo, and spin jump like that. And yeah, like yeah, we got access to spinning right now as an ability. I want to equip the beds though. There we go. So, yeah, spinning. Spinning is, we just press R to spin, and it gives us a little bit of a speed boost. We only get the speed boost whilst we're in contact with the ground, though. So we kind of want to time a spin and then like a jump immediately as we do the spin to get the most height. To get to like maintain our speed. If we're mid-air and we press the spin button, we do the spin action, but we don't get any like extra speed boost or anything. So we do want to make sure we're in contact with the ground as much as possible when we're doing like spin movement. Also, yeah, let me just skip the prologue. I do have some splits up just for like my own notes as well, because we're going to be doing some wrong warps and stuff, and they require like knowing where like what you need to do, like Yeah, so this is all dungeons, but it's not glitchless. So we are going to be using the wrong warps that we were using in any percent, we use one singular wrong warp in any percent to get to the end of the game. In this run, we're going to be using wrong warps many times to get to all of the dungeons, and ideally warping right to the end of them, and just to beat the boss and mark it as like a completed dungeon and then continue. Um, Yeah, so a lot of that is going to involve each individual wrong warp needs to use its own individual warp point in the overworld. So after we do the first dungeon, we're going to have a section where we're going to go and activate as all of the different warp points that we need for the rest of the run. And then for each dungeon, we need to know specifically which which warp point goes to which dungeon. One of the interesting things about the Echoes of Wisdom like speedrunning like community is that everyone who's in it is a speedrunner of a like a different Zelda game. Like the most like frequent people that have been running this is like myself. We have Glubbers, Joash, TGH, Clan, Ruben. They everyone is like comes from a different like speedrun, and we have brought our own like mentalities and like routing and puzzle solving like choices into this game. So we all do slightly different strats for everything. So every time you see an Echoes of Wisdom speedrun, everyone's going to be doing things ever so slightly differently to each other in a really cool and interesting way, which is just like really reflective of what what Zelda speedrun they came from originally. Yeah, so how like the dungeon structure works in this game is that each dungeon has this like realm beforehand, the stilled realm, and we have to traverse it to then get to the dungeon entrance proper. Um, Now, because of the wrong warps we do, we end up getting to skip the vast majority of these stilled realms and just enter the dungeons directly. But certain dungeons we have to do a wrong warp to the stilled realm and then go through the dungeon. Not almost like not completely normally. We do get to activate some wrong warps later, like warps later on in the dungeons, and do a lot. Like each dungeon is very interesting in a unique way, but like we may need certain items that are only accessible from certain parts of the dungeon versus others. But yeah, we've got Southern Ruins, which is going to be very similar to what we saw in any percent. Honestly, it's pretty much entirely identical. There's nothing extra or special that we need in all dungeons that we don't get in any percent. Yeah, so we got some cool bed strats. We use the beds there to target the... Thank you. Right, I'm going to go down to the ground. Thank you. Cool. Yeah, we just drop beds on those Strantulas, and, like, yeah, you can also use that Strantula there as a, like the enemy Strantula there, we just use him here to create the web instead of making our own Strantula. Also, we're going to use Strantulas up here to kill the Ignazol whilst we're riding the elevator, instead of having to kill it first and then go and sit and wait on the elevator. So minor optimization. Yeah. And yeah, we got the Ignazol. Ignazol is such a good boy. He's very strong, and yeah, we get to use it to solve like fire puzzles. Ignazol also does a lot of damage. It's not going to be our primary damage dealer in the run. We'll get a little bit onto it later, but older versions of this run used to have to upgrade our Thought ability so that it was more powerful. But now we use different echoes because they have a lot higher damage and they're easily accessible nice and early. But in the meantime, we have Ignazol, and Ignazol does do a lot of damage, so he's going to make quick work with Link here. Yep. Nice quick kill on the first cycle, and we got the second cycle coming up here. And very nice. Yeah, well done. There are different strats that are done by different runners to kind of make that a little bit more consistent. Sometimes when Link's panning his head side to side, he may spot the Ignazol right as he gets hit, and then Link only gets stunned like that and gets quick killed if the Ignazol hits the Link whilst the Ignazol hasn't been spotted by Link. What some of the runners do is they bind onto the Ignazol, and then when the Ignazol does its jump action, we then walk it into Link manually, because the Ignazol tries to do its jump action, but because we bound it, it can't move. I personally don't find it that inconsistent to just put the Ignazol down on the ground and let him jump into Link. It's down to... I use more of like position-based and timing-based things to try and make that more optimal. But we've got Sword Form. Sword Form lets us jump higher and also use the sword. So we're going to make use of that in this dungeon, and especially in like boss fights and other fights. The Sword Form has the special bonus of doing 50% more damage to bosses than to regular enemies, and also it does double damage to purple echo enemies than normal, which is extremely useful. And also, yeah, like in this room, yeah, make use of Ignazol, and we're also gonna throw down the we're going to use bind and pull these things. Yeah. If you just pull it, it will break off. But we can jump just before you've pulled it, and then the like you don't get this animation of Zelda like falling over, and it's a minor optimization. Unfortunately, there are some downsides to it. Like there, I tried doing it, but then I kind of like got pulled. I did it too early, and then got pulled into the fire and got hit, and then that cancelled the bind, so I had to try and do it again. And here we want a bed. This is the trickiest part of the dungeon coming up. We've got some tight jumps here. I mean, this jump here is kind of fine. But the next room, this one is called Stratty McStratface. And it's quite an interesting trick. Right, and... Okay, lovely. Yep. Yeah, getting that first time's like super nice. Really happy with that. Yeah, that can be tricky to nail. Alright, very nice. And yeah, we use beds to just hit the switches. You're supposed to put the statue there, but it's like we can reach through and just put the bed on the switch. It's very nice. And that's the first dungeon done. So if you were been watching the stream all week, you'd have seen Joash get up, like do all of any percent, and it would have been pretty much exactly the same. We did slight variations on strats and stuff up to this point. Yeah. Oh, didn't quite get it. Yeah, so there is a quick kill that we can get here, if this guy plays nicely. I just need to nail a spin. Quick spins can be kind of tricky to nail in this game. Yeah. Okay, and then this final phase, there is... it's just RNG, whether or not he's going to slam the ground. No, okay. He decided to do a spin instead. Alright, slam the ground. Okay. And there we go. That's the fight done. Yeah, slightly unfortunate in that boss fight. Didn't get either of the quick spins when needed. So it can be a little bit of a tricky boss. But yeah, so one of the things is, I'm playing on Switch 2, and I'm playing on Switch 2 for kind of the first time. Oh, I just noticed my time is a little bit off to the side, so let me just adjust that. There we go. I didn't realize the time was, not actually lined up nicely. Alright, that should do. Yeah, I'm playing on Switch 2, and this is kind of like the first time I've done a... like, I've done a bunch of practice, but I haven't done, like, full, like, PB attempt speedruns, like, from start to finish of, like, this category yet on Switch 2. But in all of the, like, the practice and everything that I've been doing for this, it's so much faster on Switch 2. There's so many little things that are just, like, so much improved. Like, all of the loading transitions, just so much faster. And the lag as well. That cutscene that we just watched, massive. Like, normally there's a ridiculous amount of lag there when you're playing the game on Switch 1. Also, one of the things is We're playing on Switch 2, but we're not playing with the Switch 2 optimizations that came with the latest update to the game on Switch 2, because we're playing the original build of the game. We're playing 1.0, I'm on a physical cartridge, and I've not done an update. The reason being is that you only have you only have the first two versions of the game available to be able to do glitches. It was patched. And one of the things that we need to do here is going to be here we go. Lubbery skip. So we do a little Flora's lava there, do a respawn, and we spawn outside the cutscene trigger for her to like snap us back in bounds. And so this is now the point of the run where the any percent route diverges from the all dungeons route, because in any percent we just rush immediately to the warp point that we need to use and then set up the wrong warp. But in all dungeons, as I said, we're going to be going to all the dungeons, and we're going to be doing a wrong warp to each of them. And each dungeon has a warp point in the overworld associated to the warp point in the dungeon that we want to use. So we're going to go to a bunch of different warp points in the overworld. This section is called the World Tour because we kind of tour the entire world here to go and get all of the things that we need. So as I said before, when I was doing the lubbery skip, the respawn of the beds, I was trying to avoid a trigger. The trigger is still here. Yeah. So I need to try and avoid it, and it's right at the edge of the screen there. So like I climbed up the beds there at a very specific spot to avoid that. But there's still going to be a bunch of things that we want from, like, the overworld. It's not just the warp points. We're going to want certain echoes, we want this guy. We want the Crawchula. Crawchula is great for climbing. It will climb up in a straight line, and we just echo bind to it, and it will just take us up with him. That is a bad spot. Please don't hit me. Thank you. So we need rupees, and luckily we can get a rupee here. I accidentally dropped it on my head. There's our rupees. Why do I have 100 rupees? Did I get the... Oh, I know! I got the chest before the dungeon. I completely forgot I got the dungeon, the chest before the dungeon. One of the differences to any percent that I completely forgot about, we don't get that chest before the dungeon because we only need 50 rupees, and yeah, you'd normally get it from that chest that we just ran by because it's a little bit faster. But in any percent, you wouldn't do it because that chest is really out of the way. So yeah, that's one of the, like, all of these Windcrests. You can tell I'm a Minish Cap player. All of these warp points we're going to use gonna help us. Oh, I am done. I completely forgot to grab this. There we go. I want to get this sign. It didn't matter exactly when we got the sign, but I just wanted to grab a sign somewhere. I think we're going to actually... Hold on, I think there's another sign that we run by, so it wasn't necessary for me to run back there. Yeah. I'm almost certain there's another sign we're going to run by. But yeah, like, we're getting a bunch of the warp points here. So this next one that we're going to go and get isn't actually necessary for the warping. Like, this one, I can't remember where it takes you to, but, like, we don't want to use this one. The reason why we're going to activate this is that this is going to be the point that we're going to warp to after beating every single dungeon to begin doing the wrong warp each time. We're going to come up over to this big tree on the left there, and we're going to set up the wrong warp using the spot there. I'm not going to do that right away. I'll come back in a moment. There's a few things we need to do first. firstly, because we did that skip earlier in this section, we can't warp right now. It still says it's like, if you saw on the map, they were all grayed out. We're in the minigame state, whilst, like, to prevent us from being able to run warp. To be able to do regular warp, sorry. To be able to fast travel. So all we're doing is we're just going to enter into the minigame and then, like, leave the radius and get us to exit it in order to cancel that minigame state. Because we just entered the minigame and a game and left it. Now we're out of the minigame state and we can we're able to fast travel again. That's all we needed the rupees for. Now we're going to use the strategy to climb up the wall here. There's some things that we want at the top of Elden here. Yeah, the Crawtula is the fastest way of getting up here. There are some faster ways, but nothing that we can acquire this early. The Crawtula is very quick to collect, and he helps out a lot with climbing up to the top of Elden very quickly and not being out of the way. So we have all of the sorry, not the Windcrest, the warp points that we need in the run now. All we're going to get from this point is one last guy. This is the Lizalfos level 2. He is an extremely powerful enemy, and we're going to make use of his high DPS to help us defeat things throughout the run. He's going to be our primary damage source. We're going to be using Sword Form a lot of the times, but it's normally a combination of like Sword Form and the Lizalfos, or just the Lizalfos on his own. But now's the time for doing the wrong warp. So we're going to do a trick called menu stacking, where we respawn here whilst reading a sign, and ideally, when we close the text box or reading the sign, we can press and open a menu at the same time. Please lock onto the right thing. This is extremely precise timing. And the method that I opt to using to do this is I do a little mash, and it normally comes out quite consistently. Yeah, I wasn't quite in the right spot there. And if this is done correctly, we'll be able to gain control of Zelda. There we go. Right, so we got the menu, and then we warp over to here whilst we've got the Echo menu stacked up here. And yeah, we had two menus stacked at the same time. We closed the background menu by holding turning one of the menus into the Echo menu. So now we've got the Echo menu in the foreground, and in the background we're playing as Zelda. If you looked at the mini-map, I walked to the first dungeon, and I'm now going into the first dungeon, and that's what's happening in the background. We're going into the dungeon to get dungeon warps available, so we activate that, and then we're going to activate the warp point, and then press right and switch from the overworld map to the dungeon map. And what that does is it uses the ID from the overworld, but does the lookup table from the dungeon list. And we get to go to the menu warp points in the dungeons that we aren't supposed to, and do the wrong warp. So try and kill these Tactites just to get them to be out of the way. And yeah, we're in Hyrule Castle. Hyrule Castle's not supposed to be the next dungeon that we do. We're supposed to do Jabal and Gerudo. We got those two dungeons before going to Hyrule Castle. Hyrule Castle's kind of like a mid-dungeon, and then there's 3 dungeons afterwards that you have to do before unlocking the final dungeon. So why are we in Hyrule Castle? Well, we're going to be doing dungeons completely out of order. I forgot to do the split when I did the wrong warp there, but that's fine. Yeah, there's complicated reasons why we do the route that we do for, like, purposes of story flags and avoiding cutscenes and to make certain things spawn in a certain way. But yeah, we're going to be going to Hyrule Castle first. Hyrule Castle this early is very tricky. So we're going to make use of the guys that we got this early to make this a little bit easier. And yeah, there we go. Yeah, Dark Nuts, Chain Soldiers, these are strong echoes. We're not even going to bother getting them though. Lizalfos level 2 is just that strong. And you saw a little bit of the strat that I was using there with the Lizalfos level 2. I was like respawning him to make him like do his attacks more regularly. And we also want to grab the Frog Ring. The Frog Ring lets us jump even higher. So that's one of the important things of getting to Hyrule Castle early. And now we're going to go directly into the boss. This is a tricky boss fight. See how we can do with this. But luckily, it's a fairly scripted boss. Okay, yeah, that's good. Yeah, so this boss has a lot of phases to it. So this phase, he's going to shoot a thing out, and I didn't grab it at the right time. So I unfortunately got hit there, but... I didn't get the spin attack at the right time. Yeah, getting hurt quite a bit here, but hopefully... just one more hit from the Lizalfos, and it should kill it. There we go. Cool. Now we're in the middle phase. This is pretty tricky. Luckily, it hitting Ganon once will cancel. Will make him teleport away. Now, this, I'm going to be playing it super safe here, way safer than, like, you would normally, but, like, you can do a volley attack against this guy, but I'm, all the time I was practicing it, it's extremely difficult to nail the timing for it, so, I'm just going to be playing it a bit safe and take a couple extra cycles and just, do a couple, like, jump spin attacks here and try and do the damage to get through more quickly. Yeah, this is certainly the most dangerous phase. There we go. Right. And now we're into the final phase. This final phase is a mashup of everything that we've seen so far. Lovely. No! Oh, he did the best RNG at the beginning, which is yeah. We want him to do his spinning attack. That's the best one to do first. But we're just going to use the Lizalfos. No, come on. Okay. Okay, and now he should be really low health. He should be killed in a couple more hits. There we go, and that's GG. Yeah, really unfortunate that. So the Lizalfos doesn't have the smartest AI. He's very aggressive, and he will just go and chase after Ganon quite often, and then go and keep hitting him. Unfortunately, we didn't want that to happen in certain phases of the fight. So a lot of the time, you just you use your Echo Recall to disable the Lizalfos and to get him to stop attacking Ganon. But yeah, all in all, not dying in Ganon is fantastic. That's all you want. You take a couple hits here and there. You use the pots on the side of the room to sound full life. Taking a death is real bad. You lose a lot of time. There's a lot of very slow cycles at the beginning that you have to wade your way through again. I just want to avoid that as much as possible. But yeah, we're pretty good so far on like dungeon progress. We got 2 of the dungeons down. And yeah, we are at the midpoint of the game where we thought we just saved the like everyone in the world. Like there were 2 big rifts in Gerudo and Jabal, and we would have rescued the people from these, and then there was a rift in Hyrule Castle, and then we go and clear out the rift here, like we saw it in the intro of the game. Like the rift appeared here in the castle, but we've cleared that out and restored the world. And then Null appears, he's the main big bad of the game, and we find out that we have to go and clear out 3 other dungeons. So, some interesting things are going to happen because of story progression. So, we say, there were, evil versions of the king and Minister Left and General Right, and we saved Minister Left from the first dungeon, but General Right was supposed to be saved from Jabal in the second dungeon. We haven't done that yet, and well, they're gonna be here in the next in the next set of cutscenes. Zelda's just having a little eep on her bed. Playing this game casually, if you get Zelda's bed here, it's the best bed in the game. It heals you 2 hearts at a time, which is just absolutely fantastic. But yeah, so the General Right there on the left hand side of the screen, the general yeah, we haven't rescued him yet, so this is still the evil version of him. And also the guy on the far left, we haven't even met him. That is Lubri. That is the guy that we skipped having to go and see and talk to by doing the the bed respawn trick at the after beating the first dungeon. Yeah, we just completely skipped being introduced to him. So we got some fun sequence break contradictions going on. Also, it's only now at this point that I realize I am playing on English language. That was totally unintentional. I have been playing Mario Kart World on my Switch too, and I want to be able to read what things say, so I've been having everything in English, and I forgot to set it to a different language. Other languages are faster in echoes. Any of the Asian languages are faster just in terms of general text, but if you want a Latin-based one, German is the fastest because it cuts certain text boxes. Especially when we go and activate the warp points, they, in German, it's only 1 text box long instead of 2 text boxes. That is on every single other version. Oh, yeah, I completely forgot to split for the time of, beating Hyrule Castle. And yeah, we now have access to using, any outfit from Zelda? Nice, got that first try. Yep, so... Yeah, wrong warps. If you run all dungeons, you get pretty practice at doing the menu stacking glitch. Because you have to do it a lot. And as you can see on my splits, the next dungeon up is Jabul. And Joash, welcome. Don't know if we can hear you. Which one do I need to do? Elden.
Oh, I was muted.
There we go. Okay,
Hello,
cool.
everyone.
Welcome.
Sorry I'm late.
I can hear you. Hopefully everyone on stream can hear you fine.
Hopefully so. Let's see. Ooh, we're in Jabu.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I did do intro skip because we'd already seen it in your run. Didn't want to spend 7-8 minutes and stuff doing like watching cutscenes again.
Oh yeah, fair enough. It'd be good to show that off because I feel like we haven't really seen it as much.
Oh, I think I pulled this guy too far back. Oh yeah, I did. Oh, okay, right, that's fine.
Oh, nice save. Nice save. So yeah, so we're here in Java Ruins. I was listening to the stream a little bit earlier while I was driving, so I did hear some of your earlier points, and I think you did touch up on the idea of the dungeon order in this route.
Yeah.
A little bit. And how technically, yes, we can warp to any dungeon in any order, but we do have a specific route just because of story flags and how we want things to progress in a way that is most beneficial to us, and also with collecting certain echoes that we can use in later dungeons as well. Like right there, we got the bomb fish, and which we'll use in a couple of places later.
Just had to make sure that I got the autosave there. I didn't see the text appear. Yeah, we do a lot of strats where we like open a chest or something and trigger a save, and then we quickly like pause the game and just load the save to go back to the beginning of where we just were.
Yeah, it's slightly faster than just doing a regular warp.
There we go. That spot there is really awkward. There's weird geometry there, so when you place the strantula down, the scrotula, it doesn't quite go where you think it ought to.
Yeah, it's so bizarre. I've always found placing him in like the upper middle part of the circle works best, but even then, like every now and then, he's got like a slight angle going up the wall. So yeah, it's very bizarre. But right here we have Vocavore. Pretty standard boss. Here we can put ourselves in certain positions here to where we can manipulate him to get some quick routes in. So this is going to stand right here to get him kind of in the middle, but not quite in the middle. To where when he does the spin attack, Myth will be able to avoid the spin attack just barely, and then be able to go right back in and finish the war before he goes anywhere. And then we can mentally be here. Alright.
Ooh, I didn't quite get the quick spin. It's fine. I just wait for him to down the bottom.
Yeah, he's just gonna come around, and with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, other than that, yeah, that was good. That was good, and also good recovery as well.
Yeah, this boss is I think it's one of the easier of them to optimize in the way of like getting it absolutely perfect, because also like if anything ever goes wrong, it's probably normally that. And he'll just swing around and you just do the backup like I did there, and it's normally quite consistent even if you don't perfectly get the like your spins or anything.
Oh yeah, definitely. I definitely think it's easy in execution and can be a little bit tricky if you don't quite get the backups, but like otherwise this is definitely one of the easier fights in the run.
Yeah, we just had Ganon, and Ganon is like up there. Yeah. If it's not the hardest, it's definitely like second hardest or.
Yeah, it's definitely up there. Like despite Ganon being what I would consider a scripted fight, there's still a lot of very tight things that can get in the way and maybe kind of throw you off. That kind of makes the whole thing kind of go awry.
Yeah, when I was practicing, I couldn't do the volleys, so I was just taking that super safe and just doing. And it's also really annoying. You can't do much damage to him in that phase. before he will just instantly teleport. So like the most damage he can do is like a single slash so that he doesn't teleport and then do a spin attack. And then you have to
Right.
do like 3 or 4 cycles of that to be able to actually kill him. So it's certainly slow, but it's faster than dying.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, and if you're wanting to play it safe and not worry about the volleys, because yeah, getting hit by the volleys, I believe is 2 hearts. So like, yeah, I don't blame you for wanting to be safe about that for sure. Usually, what I do for the volleys is I'll just look for a spot on the floor as kind of a visual cue. But
Yeah,
yeah, it's tricky for sure. A lot of things going on in that fight. But yeah, so we got Volcavor here. Volcavor is the either the first or second dungeon, depending on what order you do it in. And this is I believe like one of the best spots to do Volcavor since it is an earlier dungeon.
yeah.
And in an older route, I think we did this one first, just kind of get it out of the way. But now we do Hyrule Castle first, and then Java Ruins.
Yeah,
We also get
there's no
a Metal.
disadvantage to doing Hyrule Castle other than difficulty.
Yeah,
Like
for sure.
you can do it the opposite way around, where you do Jabal and then do Hyrule Castle afterwards. But the benefit of doing Hyrule Castle is we get the Frog Ring, and that lets us get to do our wrong warps a little bit faster each time. So that's kind of like the optimization you get from doing that. As and
Right.
also we want to do Jabal kind of as early as possible because one, it's easy, and two, we need the bomb fish for other things like Farron and for Eldin. Having the bomb fish is needed before we do those dungeons.
Yeah, exactly. Also, we get a nice little performance here for our efforts.
I've completely forgot about my splits, so sorry, I keep completely missing my splits here.
All good.
I was fine at the beginning, and then as soon as we got to the like the route split and start actually doing wrong warps to dungeons, it's like I forgot all of them.
It's a marathon. A lot going on. Lot to focus on. Yeah, next up we're going to be going back to Pharaon. I'm not sure.
I didn't do Farron 1. I'm doing
Okay,
it
okay, then
now.
we're
Yeah,
okay.
there's like yeah, there's so much
Yeah,
flexibility in this category where you can kind of do things in any order you feel like. You can do Farron 1 before Jabal. And I think it is better to do that, but I don't like having less energy going into the Jabal fight, because it can go really bad if you do have more energy. If you don't have enough energy and completely run out before like yeah, if you completely run out of energy, that fight it becomes horrible. Um,
oh yeah, for
yeah.
sure.
Whereas with Farron, I don't mind running out of energy in Goma. We're never going to turn into sword form anyway. But with like the second manhandler fight, I don't mind running out of energy early in that because I'll just use Lizalfos level 2 to kill it and the bomb fish.
Yeah, that's fair. I definitely think the energy crisis for Pharaon is not as bad as it was, say, in the route where we had level 2 sword, but yeah, that's definitely one of those where you can kind of go either way with it. It's kind of up to preference. It's one of those it's one of those things where the dungeon order can be kind of changed up. Like there are some dungeon orders that we kind of have to do in specific ways, but that one is definitely one where you can kind of pick and choose what you want to do. Which, speaking of, that does mean we are going to Pharaon, and like with what Myth was talking about,
Ooh,
with
oops,
doing them in different orders.
that's fine.
Um, yeah, yeah, good. Yeah, just to clarify, what we're actually talking about is whether or not we're doing the first part of Pharaoh Woods before or after Jabul, because we're actually going to be wrong warping to Pharaoh twice. And the reason we do that is just to skip certain parts of the dungeon. So we're going to be warping to 2 different spots of the dungeon that will be really beneficial to us and be able to skip parts that we don't need to do. So the first part that we're going to be warping to is we're going to be warping to to the warp that's right near the boss door. And once we do that, Myth will activate this waypoint to where we can use it as a
I
normal
split.
warp earlier. A split, yay! And so Myth will activate this warp here so that we can use it for later when we actually get the boss key. So the biggest thing about this dungeon is Manhandla. Manhandla has two different spots. Also, this strat here.
Bed.
So Myth does a pretty cool strat here where he jumps as he spawns the second bed and makes the two beds press the button at the same time. That button requires you to hit both buttons at the same time, which leads to a very interesting puzzle on how to get two things to press at the same time. But in any case, we're wanting to kill Manhandla in here, and Manhandla has two different phases, and they're both in two different rooms. It's like that one dungeon in Link's Awakening where you're following that one Stalfos-like enemy, and so you have to fight Manhandla in one room, and once we fight Manhandla in the first room, then we're going to long warp to the second room in order to get to the second Manhandle a lot easier. Because I believe the second Manhandle is like behind one or two key doors, I believe, or something like that. So it's just very convenient that we get.
I wrong warped to the wrong place, and yes, it is locked behind a key door because I tried to go and get to it and I couldn't.
Oh no. The sword fire form can be best used here. It's kind of more of a wider attack to hit both of these at the same time. You can use Alphos too on these, but it's not as effective as the sword just because of range. And they don't have that much health, so it's pretty doable with just sword fighter mode. So that's it for part 1 of Pharaon. So now we're going to leave Pharaon in order to come back to Pharaon. But we're going to come back in a different spot this time. So we're going to do another wrong warp. We use a different waypoint to end up at a different one in Pharaon.
Keep pressing the wrong button.
The wrong warp, yeah. The menu storage timing is definitely tricky, especially if you got used to the Switch 1 timing and you're on Switch 2
yeah.
now.
It's so fast. Like, one of the things I noticed with Switch 2 as well, it seems that there's, like, no animation delays between, like, after certain actions or between certain things. Like, it just, I think the Switch 1 hid some computations behind these animations and made it look intended, but they're totally not, because in Switch 2, they're just completely avoided. I needed the bombfish there.
Yeah. One of the big things I noticed, other than the obvious loading zone differences, is that the menus are incredibly fast on Switch 2. Like, it completely threw me off when I got in bed for the first time, and I was mashing the pause menu, and it just opened and closed so quickly. I guess that is one thing that makes Switch 2 a little bit harder, is you can't mash the menus open because it'll close like almost right away if you're mashing too fast.
Yeah, I had to practice that, but I got better at the mashing on Switch 2 now, so that I don't over mash and then end up closing the menu at all.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's really good then. That's really good. I ended up just trying to do like a plus-minus strat where I'm pressing plus and then minus right after that to kind of give myself a double chance of hitting the frame easier. But yeah, if you can get that mashing down without closing the menu, that's really good. Also, this is one of the main reasons why we get the electric keys. We do use the keys a bit later on, not so much for the electric part, but for Goma specifically, we do use the electric keys for its element here, mainly to hit these weak spots on Goma. And hitting the eye here is extremely free with our good buddy, Little Dawkins.
I think that worked, right?
Yeah.
Yes, it did. Okay, cool.
Yeah, Goma, after that first phase, there's like, I think there's like a certain HP gap, or a certain HP limit before it advances to this phase here. So it's gonna like, lock on that phase there. Yeah, and that part's a little bit tricky because Goma's always moving. So kind of getting around whatever whatever attacks Goma presents you with there can be a little bit tricky. And then the hardest part about this third phase when Goma comes up to the wall again is just targeting the last crystal. And also
the targeting system.
because yeah, also the targeting system. We talked a lot about the targeting system during my run earlier this week,
There we go.
and
Right.
it is in full effect here because the game wants to target everything except the thing you actually want to target, and that's a good example there. You also do want to be careful here to not have too many spiders spawn because you could end up in a situation where the spiders will just spam their...
No!
No!
Gomer's like one hit away from dead right now.
So close.
Yeah, I was having to dodge the spider web that it was shooting instead of focusing on DPS. Okay, right. Yeah, it was one hit. Oh, that's so unfortunate.
Of course. Of course. Yeah, so the spiders are definitely kind of one of those enemies where it's like you think they're not going to be that big of a problem, but when you're actually doing those last few hits with those Alphos, they're shooting those long-range webs at you, and they do a lot more damage to you than you really think. So if you're not paying attention, they can dwindle you down pretty quickly. Which I have died to them a couple of times because of that.
It's also just the hit stun as well. If like you get hit as you're trying to spawn in a Lizalfos at the right timing, then you miss that Lizalfos timing, and we're pretty tight on that timing of like having to spawn the Lizalfos at just the right time to max DPS Goma and kill it in one cycle instead of having to do an extra cycle like I got. That is like a forced 3-cycle fight that in each cycle it takes as many cycles as you need to do the damage threshold, but we have enough damage to be able to do it in the fastest time possible, but only just.
Yeah, it's just barely possible. You really want to give yourself as much of an opportunity to hit Goma as possible there at the last bit. And you also don't want to take too long hitting the little crystal parts while he's on the wall, because eventually he'll hit a point where he does the laser attack, which can be annoying to dodge.
Yeah, I'm lucky I haven't had to deal with the laser too often. But yeah, ideally you get the hit. You hit the you electrify Goma early enough so that like all of the spiderlings are still like in the center of the room, and Goma just falls on all of them and takes them all out, and then there's none of them they have to deal with. That's the most optimal, and then the fight's free.
Yeah, that's extremely ideal for sure. All right, so that is Pharaon. That is Pharaon.
And one of the interesting ramifications of doing Aaron out of order earlier than we were supposed to is the next dungeon coming up is Gerudo. And having beaten Goma just now set a flag that made the warp point for finishing the Gerudo dungeon appear in the middle of the boss fight. Which means that we're not actually going to have to fight the next boss. We literally just go into the Gerudo boss room and just activate the warp and leave the dungeon, and it triggers the you've beaten Gerudo, like everything. But the boss was just not defeated.
Also, my favorite deck you hear.
Oh yeah, he's gone.
My favorite Deku that just gets deleted from existence. I think the reason that, I could be wrong in this, but I think I remember reading an explanation on why that happens. It's that I think the solidity of the rift is still there, even though the rift isn't there, and so the Deku's just getting caught on it, which makes sense.
Yeah, we're gonna have some weird cutscene stuff happen where we didn't enter Farron Woods and get the cutscene play of like the panning shots of like introducing the area. And we're gonna get it right now after this cutscene ends. Like right now. Now it's gonna start playing. And that had some weird effects on like the flags that just got set. But also not only that, this cutscene, but also there is a cutscene associated to coming to this specific spot right in front of the dungeon. That is gonna happen right here. I managed to get a jump in right before like this happened, but I'm pretty sure you have to. Is this skippable? I don't think it is. If you get the jump in there,
I don't
I
think it
don't
is,
think you
'cause
can.
I think I tried to mess with it at one point, and it didn't really pan out to anything. At least with
Yeah.
the small bit of attempting it that I did. Yeah, this cutscene is actually important to watch
Yeah.
because because of flags and all that goofiness. It allows us to skip a really long cutscene that we would normally get after beating every dungeon, but we won't have to watch it now because of just how the flags line up. So next we're up to
Ooh.
Gerudo, which from a viewing perspective, I think is one of the best showcases of the goofiness that can be presented with wrong warps in this game. So the place we're going to be warping to in Gerudo is a very unique place compared to the other dungeons, and you'll see why right away once we warp there. I won't spoil it until Myth actually gets there. But I will also say that don't blink because this is a very fast dungeon. Very nice. Alright, so
Yeah.
we spawn at this waypoint under the sand. The sand is normally supposed to be drained out, but here we're actually able to walk under the sand, and we're able to solve this puzzle right
Where
here,
am
where we
I?
can spin this
I'm here.
thing
I
around.
thought. I th-
You can target the thing.
Oh my god, you can target it. Okay.
So you can spin
Thank
this
you.
thing,
That
and
makes that
it's
free.
that puzzle. Yeah, yeah. I discovered that a few weeks ago, and I was like, wow, that's really good. So yeah, you have to solve this puzzle blind with spinning the little circular things to get to the chest. But once you do that, you can go to the middle, get the big key. So we already have the big key. Big key's just right outside the big door. We can navigate our way to the stairs, go back up, and use our big key and just go straight into the boss room. However, still don't blink because we're actually about done. You might notice that there is a warp already here. Oh, that's kind of crazy. So, because of story flags, and I believe part of the reason being that we did Hyrule Castle, which advanced the story a bit, it allowed us to have the warp just automatically be there for specifically this dungeon. So we were able to skip the boss there by just
It is the
walking into the
Goma
door.
death flag that sets
Oh,
that.
okay.
There's a similar thing that happens in if you beat this dungeon before you do Southern Ruins, beating Morgriff sets the flag for Talus being defeated. Oh, not being defeated, but the warp point in Talus. So you get exactly the same effect where you can go into the Talus fight, skip it, just go and go through the warp. But that eventuality isn't compatible with the way that we do it because if we do Farron, we skip killing Morgriff. Whereas you have to kill Morgriff to be able to skip Talus. And yeah, it just doesn't work. It's not faster for us to do it that way around. So we only use this interaction. I don't think there's any others, but the reasoning is some bit compression that goes on with the flags, and that they end up like being lazy and overwriting like multiple bits, and those bits are associated to the dungeon beaten state.
Yeah. So really, between the two options, that's really our only ideal one that we can take advantage of. So next up we have Eldin, and just like with Pharaon, Eldin is also going to be a two-parter here. This one's also a bit special. This is one of the only instances where we actually warp to the beginning of the Still World. The Still World being the little special realm, special like outside realm before the dungeon. This is the only instance where warping to the start of that will actually be faster. So we're gonna start here at the very beginning, and this is where we're gonna get another use for our keys here. Not quite right away, but here in a bit. Also, shoutouts to an old strat here we used to do, like in the first 2 months of the game, where we would put down a piece of meat and spawn a crow, and as we're holding the meat, we can have the crow like pick us up with the meat and just carry us to the end here.
I am failing at parkour today. That was that was pretty tragic. But that's the octo parkour that we do in there.
Yeah, you can jump on Octo's heads, which is quite fun. So yeah, here's another use of our keys here, and I believe we'll get to bring back an old buddy of ours here in a bit too.
Yeah, a lot of the echoes in this run aren't just like you use them once and you're done. A lot of them we're going to be grabbing and using at various points throughout, like the tarantula. Like, it becomes a little bit useful here. Also, there's the glitch here that you can get if you open the menu frame perfectly here. I didn't do that. I tried timing it, but I was a frame early. What am I doing? Yeah, I was hoping to try and show off the chest stoop if I got it. I got it first try in practice, and I was like, okay, great, I'm gonna try and show this off, but I didn't get it there. I don't even think it's faster. I just wanted to show off the swag.
Yeah, I don't think it's faster either, but yeah, as a showcase, it would have been cool to see it in action. Yeah, I'm honestly kind of thankful it isn't faster for this category because it being perfect at 60 FPS and probably also being harder on Switch too to add on to that. It's kind of fortunate we don't need to do it. But yeah, that was Elden 1. The main reason we did that was to get a key. And this key is actually really important for where we're warping next. So we're going to go from warping to the beginning of the dungeon to the very end of the dungeon.
I didn't get the Scrubton warp.
Oh no.
Oops. Well, we're gonna go grab Scrubton's warp. I completely forgot about that.
I didn't even notice it.
Yeah.
Like when that went over my head.
Yeah, when we do, the reason why we do Farron before Eldin is to go and get the warp point. Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Well, fortunately, we have a warp point over here, and we can just do a little bit of a detour to get back here. But yeah, normally after Pharaon, we just go down just a little bit into the village and just get this waypoint real quick. It's the same thing we did after Jabul, where we got the crossroads warp that led us to Gerudo. This waypoint right here we grab, and this will lead us to the end of Eldin. Yeah, I believe that's all the warps that we will need for the rest of the run. And we'll get to use our buddy, the Keese, one more time.
Yeah, it is really unfortunate that there is a single lock before the final room of Elvin. That means that when we do the warp point to directly where the boss is and backtrack through, we unfortunately can't continue because we need a there's just a lock there, so we need to get a small key from earlier in the dungeon.
Yeah, it's just super unfortunate. We can't just do this in one warp because of a key.
Get through.
Yeah, we use these little air vents to fly our way down here. Now I don't know if I'm the only one, but when I was doing my casual playthrough of this when it came out, I didn't know what those were really for. I was just spamming the other floor tiles and doing other things, but I did not know you're supposed to use keys or flying or other flying echoes as a as a pseudo paraglider. But you know, whatever works. This room can be a little bit tricky with dealing with the keys as well. We also want to kill at least one of these keys.
Yeah.
Because they have the, we want the fire echoes.
I'm burning to death?
Oh.
That's fine. Okay, I just can't take another hit.
Yeah.
Is there help in these pots? I don't think so, right?
In these...
There is a grate. I'll eat a grate.
I mean, you can eat grate.
None. It's not like it was very useful. I'm just gonna be safe here.
Yeah,
Don't want to die. Okay, that should be fine, honestly. We get to heal in Volve.
In Volve, yeah. Volve has 4 art pots, so you should be good. Yeah, we do need that keys. Also, I do think it looked like you were burning for longer than it actually was, just because of the 2 animations for holding the items.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty close. But yeah, so we're almost done with this dungeon. We got the big key. Now we just gotta get out of this room. And once we're out of this room, then this sequence will be over. And once that's done, we can just go back up. And we'll get to fight our good buddy Volvagia, a classic return from Ocarina of Time. Now, unlike Volvagia in Ocarina of Time, this Volvagia is a bit of an auto-scroller. Now, despite it being an auto-scroller, there are a couple of spots here in this fight that can be a little bit tricky because we want to get a certain amount of damage done between each of his phases here. And so you want to get typically about 2 or 3
I didn't
attacks,
get it.
or 3 or 4 attacks rather. I think for this phase you
Yeah.
get 3, I believe. Yeah. Because, like, in between, I think it's in between attacks, he checks to see if you've done enough damage to him for him to advance to the next phase.
Yeah.
So, like, each of these times, he's going to go to the exact same spot. So, here, Myth will want to get a fear attack on him. And you can also break the necklace for extra energy as well.
There's a specific spot I stand here so that when I spawn the Lizalfos, so the Lizalfos lunges forwards and then stabs him quite consistently. Just need to...
I didn't even think of this kind of spot.
Yeah, unfortunately, took a little bit too long there, and it went into the next phase. That one, that specific particular phase does have more damage, more health, and you have to do more damage to it than in the other phases.
Yeah, I would consider that phase probably that and the phase similar to it probably the hardest part of Volvagia, just because you have to stay in very specific spots, just to get the actually get Volvagia and not just catapult into the boss.
Yeah.
Yeah, after this attack,
Oh,
down. Uh-oh.
it's fine. I'm just trying to get as low health as possible, you know, for no reason. Just to make it scary.
Make it more interesting, you know? No big deal.
Alright, okay, it was just one more hit. Right, and that's Volve done. Volve is one of the easier done bosses when you give it a bit of practice, but it's more of an also scroller than the other bosses.
Yeah. Other than that one particular spot he spawns at where you have to be specific with it's pretty easy. Otherwise, you just kind of have to just get through it. And now we come up to what I like to call the lore section of the story.
Yeah.
So if you need a bathroom break, now would be a good time
Yeah.
because
Great time to go.
unless you're really yeah, great time to go. Unless you really want to learn about the lore, which we are playing on English, so you can read the lore. And lore we will be getting.
Yeah, it kind of doesn't matter how like many glitches and stuff that we have for like skipping like sections of the game. Every section of the game has vast cutscenes associated to them. Like a lot of what we're doing in all dungeons is, in opposed to a glitchless run, is we're skipping a lot of the overworld like quests that are associated to like running around the overworld and doing like watching a bunch of cutscenes in order to gain access to the dungeons. We're skipping all of that and just warping directly into the dungeon, so we get to skip a bunch of cutscenes there. But yeah, after you beat dungeons, there are a bunch of cutscenes. It's not like other Zelda games don't have lots of cutscenes after dungeons, but in those games we've been able to figure out ways of skipping them, like in Ocarina of Time, you have like wrong warps from the like the blue warps that would normally leave a dungeon. You'd get a big cutscene that plays after a dungeon, but like you do a wrong warp and you just teleport immediately to another place and skip the cutscene entirely.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate that this game doesn't have more cutscene skips other than just outright avoiding them by not doing the quests associated to them. Which
It would be
I
great
like
if they just used the mechanic that already existed in the game that they programmed in of pressing start to skip a cutscene. If they did it for all the cutscenes.
That's crazy, isn't it? Yeah, that always blew my mind. It still blows my mind to
Yeah.
this day that they bothered programming it for the boss cutscenes, but they didn't bother to do it for the actual cutscenes.
Yeah.
I always would say like, well, what's the point of programming it then if you're not even going to do it for all of them?
I mean, it's clear to me that they did it as when they were doing like when they were doing testing, like when they were like doing boss fights or whatever, like doing some play testing, that it was like, yeah, when you die and you have to try and do the boss again, you have this really long cutscene. Like, can we just skip it? We've already seen it once, and they're like, okay, we'll add it for that. But then they just didn't consider, what if you want to skip any cutscene, not just those ones specifically?
Yeah, and it's crazy because I mean they did it for the most part with like Twilight Princess and whatnot.
Yeah.
It's just weird because it's like this game kind of I feel like this game kind of encourages you to do multiple playthroughs because it's kind of a play it how you want kind of game. So obviously people are going to want to play it again, and also with the inclusion of like hero mode, it's like okay, when you play it enough times, surely you also for the same reason want to skip these cutscenes too.
Yeah, honestly, every update that comes out, like that's the first thing everyone checks is like, okay, did they add cutscene skips?
Yeah, cutscenes. Yeah, we're always wondering if they're going to do that because then that's really going to throw a wrench in a lot of things because it's like if we actually did get a skip cutscene button, how much time would that actually skip? Would that actually save in a lot of categories, and would that actually affect all dungeons in some way? And who knows?
I mean, the only category it would affect is glitchless, and
Yeah,
glitchless is there is no way of doing a glitchless any percent without doing all dungeons anyway. So there's not there wouldn't be the opportunity to have like multiple categories open up at that point.
yeah, no.
Right.
It definitely wouldn't catch up with actual 8%. We would still need to do wrong warps. So here we're actually doing the wrong warp in a different spot because it's faster to just walk straight down here as opposed to warping to our regular wrong warp spot.
I can never know the spot here.
This one is definitely a little bit trickier with the position. Excuse me.
Yeah, I always struggle so much more with this spot. There we go.
Yeah, I think on Switch 1 as well, there was like varying amounts of lag on this spot as well, so the timing would be a little bit off compared to the normal one as well, which would also make it harder. But no, I believe on Switch 2, it's probably about the same timing, at least from my experience. It's just a little bit awkward in general. So next up, we have our next to last dungeon. So we have Lanayru left. Now Lanayru we will be able to do in one trip, but there is a bit we actually have to do in Lanayru to get to the boss key. We will, as with most of these dungeons, warp to the very end. This skips a lot of the gauntlet of puzzles we have to do. So we mainly just have to do this last floor here. We're gonna come back up and make our way over to the to this room over here. So much like earlier, Myth got a fire piece, and now Myth is also going to get an ice piece. And this is actually very important for the end of the dungeon. For the boss, a boss that we most definitely totally love. Very nice. So yeah, we'll get this ice piece here, which will be useful for the boss. And so now it's really just a matter of getting through this dungeon and doing what we need to do to get the boss key. Also, we can kind of skip this puzzle here by just grabbing the boulder with bind and targeting it. Neat little trick here. We double up the beds here and then spawn the Zalfos on this button, and with how many echo points we have, it's enough to despawn one bed, so it hits both buttons with the second bed. And so here, we want to make sure that the Wolfos gets hit before it spawns the other Wolfos, because the white Wolfos can spawn 2 other normal Wolfos. But right there, that was a good fight, making sure that it doesn't spawn the other 2. And Myth is going to get the white Wolfos, I believe, probably for the...
Oh, wait! Sorry, I completely autopiloted that. I didn't intend to get it that. Oh.
So Myth got the white Wolfos because...
You're right, though. It will come in handy.
It can come in handy for the null fight. I think for a couple of runs, really early on, I used to get it for that reason.
Yeah, I think when we timed it, I remember timing it out as a potential, but like the thing is, like, it has to stick around too long for it to be worth using, whereas like the Lizalfos level 2, you just keep spamming it, and like you end up doing higher DPS early. Like it takes too long for the white Wolfos to eventually reach the DPS, like the total damage that the Lizalfos 2 does, because it has a higher DPS, but it just takes longer to reach, because it needs to spawn all the other Wolfos as well, and then they all have to start attacking.
Yeah, and that's the nice thing about those Alphos is that not only does it do a decent amount of damage, it also does it right away. So continuously spamming it kind of acts as our own sword in a way, which was a big reason why we started getting that instead of upgrading our sword. Because why upgrade your sword when you just get a different one used by someone else? So solving this last puzzle here to get the ball rolling down to the button gives us the big key. And with that, we get to go to what I believe personally is the hardest boss in this run. Our
Yeah,
good
it
buddy
really
Scorchel.
sucks.
Yeah,
Little Healy Hill.
I have beef with this boss. Let's just put it that way. So we can start off with this boss by spawning the igneous holes there to hit one part of the helmet, and
No,
spawning some and
hit him. No, not quite.
oh, come on.
Yeah,
Oh, nice.
it hit, but it didn't quite. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Yeah, that's still good. You want to try to get as much with the igneous holes there at the start as much as possible because they can do insane amounts of damage just with their attack. But then once you start doing the stomping, you want to swap over to the fire beams, which are more useful in terms of just direct hits. And that's also why Myth got both the fire and the ice keys, because this boss requires you to use fire and ice damage. Like, as far as we know, there's no way around it. So, like, for these phases where we have to break the helmet, we have to use elemental attacks in order to break the boss. And unlike some of the fights where it's generally scripted, this boss is far more random. And at least to this day, we haven't really found out an exact science for this boss. Like, we really just kind of have to prepare for the certain attacks he does do and kind of go off of that. Especially in the third phase. The third phase is going to be even more sporadic, because he'll also be swapping back and forth on whether or not his helmet is fire or ice. So there might be some menu swapping depending on how Scorchio treats us here. And he's also going to do a combination of all his attacks from every phase now as well. That's a good attack to have. Yeah, so now he swaps to the fire helmet, so now you have to use the ice key. This is going to opt to get an extra heart there for safety, which is definitely a good idea because this boss can take you down really quickly, as you can see.
There we go. Okay.
Nice. So now it's just now we're just down to trying to get the final few hits on Scorchio here, just to
Come on.
just get down to that last little bit of health. Again, getting really lucky with this attack because while he's charging up that attack, as long as he's not looking at you, that's really good because you can get in some freaking while he's looking away. Very nice. That was a pretty good fight.
Yeah, luckily Scorchio is, well, I guess luckily or unluckily, there's so much luck involved in the Scorchio fight that you have to play it super safe because you don't know if you're just going to get the worst RNG possible and he just kills you. Or, like, yeah, so, like, it's very difficult to, like, capitalize on the good RNG that you get out of this boss because, you know, you kind of, like, want to rush in and, like, you know, maybe tank some hits and just do a bunch of damage real quick, but you don't know if he's then gonna just be really horrible in the next couple phases or whatever, and taking a death here in Scorchio is just always the worst, because it's right at the end of the run.
Yeah, it can be an annoying fight. You kind of just have to anticipate everything that comes your way on it, especially in that last phase. I've definitely,
Yeah.
I know at least for me personally, I've lost a lot of runs to Scorchio, and I'm pretty sure at least like 90% of my PBs, I'd post them on the Discord and be like, yeah, this run was okay. I lost time to Scorchio, and
Yeah.
that was, you know, that's generally how it is.
I think everyone's comment on their All Dungeons run is like, oh yeah, good run, lost time at Scorchio.
Yeah. Yeah, good run. Bad Scorchio, you know. Just another day.
Yeah. Yeah, and as he was saying about, it's like it's still not a like an understood fight. Like, yeah, we've got like we're so close to being able to like script out the beginning of it like quite a way through. Like at the beginning, there is a kind of a scripted element to it where we're using um the Ignizols, and it always does like 3 slams in a row. And it does make the first phase of the fight extremely easy. If you can put the right number of Ignizols down. And don't get slammed by his slam attack as well.
Yeah, if you can avoid that, there are scenarios there where you can take out the first phase purely with the Ignizols, and if you can do that, it's really fast. But like even that, that's probably one of the more scripted things that we do have in the fight. But even then, like it's not 100% foolproof yet. Also, my favorite character here, my buddy Conde.
Yeah.
We get to see our good buddy Conde. There
So
he is.
Conde is vital for the speed run. What Conde's going to do is he's going to run around and shout, and he's going to scare away the cutscene that is supposed to play of Echo Zelda appearing. And it's like a 5-minute cutscene. And but yeah, our boy Conde here just like saves our run.
Conde with the most important task here. We love Conde. Go get him, buddy. Yeah, like Myth was saying, normally we would have a cutscene here that where we see Evil Zelda, and it's like a 5-minute long ordeal. But because of how we did the dungeon order, we can just because how we did the dungeon order, we can just skip the cutscene because of the story flags. Also,
Is this? Am I?
I actually didn't know about this spot.
Yeah, you can void out here. Yeah, except it's like really tricky to do if you don't get it.
That's that is pretty tricky. I actually didn't know about this spot. That's pretty interesting.
I mean, I'll just show. Yeah, okay, I just showed that off, but like, I think it's too risky to actually go for. I was aware of it, but I didn't give it a full like practice, and I was like, I just was aware that was a thing. But I'm just gonna come and do it the safe way because I didn't want to lose too much health before I go into null.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, I'm glad you did because the more I learn. I did not know about that spot. That's interesting.
I mean, there was an idea to be like, hey, why don't we go do Lanayru early? But it doesn't work. There is no reasonable way to go and do Lanayru any earlier that actually makes it worthwhile.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember seeing discussion about doing a linear early route, but yeah, that makes way more sense now, given that.
Yeah, that was the time save we were going to have. It would basically mean that we would never have to warp. We wouldn't have to do a warp there as many times to the into like the forest area to go and get the wrong warp. We would do it at Lanayru instead.
Yeah, that makes sense. So now finally we have Noel's body. So just like in the 80% restricted run earlier this week, a lot of things are going to be fairly similar here. A couple of minor differences just because we have more echoes. But in general, since we actually warped into Null here, some things are different than what you would experience with Null casually. So normally when you enter Null's body, you've given your sword to Link, so you wouldn't be able to use sword fire mode. And also the game would be unable that model. And also the game would not be able to be you wouldn't be able to save in here. But because we long warped in here, we can use sword fire mode and we have the ability to save in here.
There we go. Okay.
Okay, that was nice. That was good. That was good backup.
I
Oh.
didn't. I locked onto the wrong thing.
Oh, too many Ignis old. Yeah, so that orb right there was a Lionel, which that last orb right there is especially critical to not have spawn the Lionel, because otherwise it'd be a very long fight to have to endure. And so, right here, since we did wrong warp in here, there are some weird oddities with how
Come on.
with how the game is treating this area. If we were to just activate this, if we were to just hit this switch,
I'm just gonna try doing it this way.
yeah. So we have to.
No, wrong.
Oh,
Wrong button. Don't press up. Oh no. The Ignazol is on top of the switch.
oh. Oh, nice, nice.
How did that work?
That was insane. That was insane. Very nice. So yeah, so to explain why we had to do that there, so basically since we're long worked in here, some of the flags in this area are a bit broken, and if you hit the switch, then it shows the camera scan of it opening the door, but then it just kind of stays there, and because of that, it actually soft-locks the game. So in order to avoid the soft-lock, we have to pause on the frame that we hit the switch, and then once we actually pause on the frame, on that frame, then we can actually get the wolf. And once we pause on that frame that we hit the switch, then we can save and quit the game, and it will save the fact that we opened the door, but skip the cutscene that would normally softlock us. And also, in terms of broken flags, we can actually backtrack over here and go through this path that Link goes through. Normally, this path here would be blocked, but because of the broken flags in here, we're able to just skip the side view section of this area and just go straight here. Excuse me. I'm feeling a little bit sick from earlier this week. But in any case, so now we're going to enter the null fight. We're going to see a lot of similarities from the 80% restricted fight. However, the fight will be, in general, faster than 80% restricted because, again, we have more echoes. And by more echoes, I more so specifically mean the Zolfos, which can do a lot more damage than the Ignizols in this case.
Also, Link's supposed to be on the edge here, and he's just not. Like, that's one of the other bugged things. Like, he was supposed to just be there, like, when we enter that room.
Yeah, like, Link is, like, weirdly there or not there. It feels kind of inconsistent when he just decides to be there or not there. So, main thing we want to do for this fight is we want to...
What?
We want to grab the... Oh!
Did you see that?
That was weird. I have never seen that before.
Look at the target!
Target.
Why is it always marathon runs that you see things that never happened before?
That's insane. Yeah, out of all the times I've done this fight, I've never seen that before. Yeah, main strat here is we just want to pull the arms. And by pulling the arms, we can let Link do a slow attack on the arms in order to break them pretty quickly. Which is definitely a strat I feel like most casual playthroughs probably didn't know about. This is a pretty easy way to just get rid of these arms and deal with them efficiently. And then after that, we need to use our Zolfos along with Link in order to advance the phase fairly quickly.
Well, it's the end of the fight. So. Oh, great. Link, come on. That's unfortunate on this guy.
Yeah. Okay, fortunately you were able to get around that, around the funnel. You definitely don't want, yeah, you definitely don't want the third phase to kind of go awry as far as attacks go, because Null can pull out these pools of poison, which
it broke out.
Really,
Go on, go on.
that's weird.
There we go.
Yeah, really the pools are more so deterrent for Link. If you want Link to get to the orange, but sometimes you can't get through the poison. So that's phase 1. So phase 2 is also an auto-scroller. And by also, I mean like compared to like full Baggio, but in any case. So in this phase we mainly just want to follow Null. We don't even want to attack him until a specific point because Null's HP is actually slowly decreasing here. And so we're waiting for Null to get to a certain point where its HP is at 1. So this is literally an auto-scroller until we get to that point. And I also just want to point out, I think we pointed it out during my run earlier this week, but this area compared to, on Switch 2 compared to Switch 1 is so smooth.
Yeah.
Like, even to this day, I'll look at this area and be like, it feels wrong.
It's so weird.
It's kind of laggy. Yeah,
yeah.
This area is pretty laggy on Switch 1. On Switch 2, it's just so buttery smooth. It's bizarre. Like, this is just one of those ones where it's just way more noticeable than most other examples. Alright, so for the third phase here, you want to really, for the most part, you want to prioritize the hands that have the horns, because those hands are the ones that spawn these attacks from other versions of the bosses. And you want a Null to spawn those bosses.
Oh, come on.
Oh no. You want to minimize.
I was a little bit early there, so I spawned in a different position it's supposed to.
Yeah, the way that Null spawns based on where you are. So we can script Null to a certain degree by having him in the positions that we want him to be in. But yeah, you want him to spawn those bosses the least amount as possible, because while those bosses are on the screen, Null is not. So now we have these little in-between phases where we want to break these hands in the walls, and these hands will also spawn other enemies that we want to try to avoid. That can also be a nuisance to us while we're trying to pull the arm and waiting for them to
I don't think I got the hand there, did I?
I don't think
No, I didn't.
No, probably not. We also want to avoid the hand that's in the ground, because if that grabs us, then we have to spend like a good 20-30 seconds trying to break out of it, which is very bad. It's even worse than something like any percent where we have less items here with it, but it's still bad. Ooh, nice. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's really good to get 2 orbs there. That's going to make it easier to eliminate the other orbs.
And we got the autosave.
Very nice. Yeah, so that's an autosave you would normally not get in a casual run. So if you load that autosave, it actually automatically puts you on third phase, which is both good for safety and runs, and also just good for practice in general when you're running this game. Alright, so here comes probably the hardest in-between phase. This is where the Zombies get spawned, and Myth is going to use the Tarantulas here because the enemies on this phase will get very distracted by the Tarantulas, and the Tarantulas also can block all of their attacks, so they act as a good deterrent for the enemies. But even still, you want to be careful.
That was great.
Yeah, that was a really good phase. Very, very good.
Didn't quite get this.
Yeah, this is definitely a phase where you want to try to get the 2 hands, because otherwise it's kind of up to... we might get an extra attack here, because if...
Yeah, I got robot add-on RNG. No!
It's pretty nice.
It's fine.
Possible to get oh, that was close, though. That was close. If Myth had gotten the, like a regular arm attack, then it might have been possible to still get both of those arms before he did another spawn, but fortunately he did get a pretty quick attack from Null there. That's pretty much got the ideal attack.
Yeah.
And so with that, we have done all the phases for Null, and all it's up to do is to pull the be on our merry way. And we'll do a little bit of mashing here to finish off. And timing will be when the Triforce is out of null here.
And
Time.
yeah, so bear in mind I did do intro skip at the beginning, so like you have to add another 7 to 8 minutes onto this time, but like I think that would have been a PB if I didn't do intro skip, because I had
Nice.
a 157 I think was my previous one.
Oh, yeah, this definitely beats a
Yeah.
157 then. Yeah, for sure beats it. Yeah, very nice. Very, very nice. So yeah, I believe it would probably be like either a low 150 15x or a mid 15x, I believe.
Yeah.
Number.
I'm not too sure exactly because I didn't do like the intro skip of like going to the castle entrance. I literally just beat Ganon and then I was like, okay, we're just gonna skip.
Oh,
We'll go
yeah,
from this
fair.
point.
Yeah, that's probably if I had to estimate, I think yeah, that's about like 7 or 8 minutes. So
Yeah.
yeah, that would definitely be your PB. That'd probably be like a 155 or something like that, which is still a good run, especially for a marathon. Yeah, definitely a good performance from Myth here. And like I probably said in my run as well, this is my favorite category personally in this game. If you are interested in doing this run, I definitely highly recommend checking it out. This is the one I started on, and yeah, I know I've had a blast doing this run before. So if you're interested in doing runs of this game, definitely join the Echoes of Wisdom Discord. We got a lot of people in there that are very willing to help out.
Yeah, we when making all dungeons, we decided to do like a category split with it and make like a restricted version as well as this has been the unrestricted all dungeons, which is just beat every dungeon as fast as possible. But in the restricted version, we have the requirements of you have to enter through the front entrance of the dungeon, or at least like you have to start from the start of the dungeon. So we do some warp to the first room of the dungeon and play from there, or we warp to the stilled realm beforehand and then enter through the typical way. And that has been quite an interesting category as well. It hasn't got anywhere near as much attention, but we all managed to do a race of it at the same time, and everyone managed to do a run with it, and it was kind of interesting. The only downside to that one is that like all of the dungeons are very fun except for Lanayru, because of the midway boss in Lanayru is the ice dude.
That
And
one
the
midway bot, yeah, I
uh,
struggled with practicing that one. Fortunately, the one good fight I had with that was during the race, which was very fortunate. But yeah, that is also a pretty fun category. It definitely one worth checking out. It definitely has some very interesting strats. It's like in a way, as far as like gameplay goes, it's almost like a glitchless light because you see more of the
yeah.
strats you would normally see in glitchless, but with still some of the skips that you would see in all dungeons.
Yeah, TGH was saying that they really felt like that was the category that they would like to spend the most time on over Glitchless, because it does cool strats from Glitchless as well as its own unique strats, and does most of, like, pretty much all the fun stuff from Glitchless, but skips all the cutscenes that you would be part of leading up to the dungeons and stuff. So it's the category that we kind of like handcrafted to be the biggest bang for buck in terms of like a gameplay to cutscene ratio.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, I mentioned this in the 80% restricted run, that there was something special here at the very end.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
we didn't quite get to see it in the 80% restricted run because of the flags. However, this very special thing is going to show up in the Old Dungeons run. So here in just a bit we'll get to see this very amusing thing.
Yeah, we'll just finish out watching this cutscene and show off this cool thing, because you've got coming up next. Um, it's Wind Waker Rando, right?
Yes, we'll be doing Wind Waker HD randomizer coming up here in
HD.
a bit.
Yeah.
We're going to be, and I'm also going to be showing off our current tourney settings because we actually are having a Wind Waker HD randomizer tournament happening right now. So I'm going to be showing off pretty much just the main tournament settings. We're going to be doing a seed here. It'll be about a hour and a half, 2 hour run. So hope you guys will stick around and check it out. We definitely got some very interesting things in this run coming up. And while this cutscene is happening, I am actually going to go use the restroom real quick before my run, so I will be right
Yeah.
back.
Whereabouts are we in the cutscene? I think. Oh yeah, here we go. Here is the completely broken cutscene of. Yeah, there's a big rift here. We're supposed to be in Castletown right now. The fountain, like right by the fountain, and yeah, the NPCs from all around town are coming to come say hi. But yeah, I forget how really broken this cutscene gets. I think it also happens in Hundo runs. I can't remember the top of my head though. I'm pretty sure it does. I know we do the a lot of the same sequence breaks in Hundo that we are done in all dungeons, but also going and playing a bunch of other stuff. Yeah, so here comes the king, and like yeah, this cutscene playing. Is General Wright the one in the air right now? Is he? It's so hard to tell who's like hovering and who's not. I think General Wright is hovering.
Yeah, if it's like the 80% restricted run,
Yeah,
yeah, General Wright would be the one floating.
it's so hard to see that, like to get perspective because of the broken background.
Yeah, it's so good. Yes, we saved the world, but at what cost? We're now in the void.
Yeah, yeah. There you go. You get to see
Yeah,
where
there
we
you go.
were.
Now you can see the rift, yeah. But yeah, because of the story flags, I think it's mainly because of Gerudo. Gerudo kind of sets some flags back because it's an earlier dungeon before Hyrule, so it kind of messed with the flags in that way too. And one thing I meant to bring up earlier in the run is if you go back and watch the run, anytime after Gerudo, you'll notice that Zelda has her like normal princess outfit on, but in the menu, she has the hood on again.
Interesting.
And that's I want to say that's because of those same flags as well. Well, little fun fact about that as well. But yeah,
Oh,
that's
is it like when you equip the frog? Oh no, because we equipped the frog ring. I don't know. I'll have
ring
to
is
look at that back because I wasn't aware of that. But yeah,
yeah. I think I noticed it one day during runs. I'm just like, oh, huh, it's the hood again.
but yeah, that's gonna be it from me. So I'll be handing over to you, but it's not. I'm not completely done in the marathon. You'll get to see me on Sunday because a bunch of people are going to be joining in this big AP archipelago multi-world, and I'll be joining. I've got some games I want to play during it, so yeah. I'll be back on Sunday, but like, yeah, looking forward to the Wind Waker rando. So I'll end stream now and hand over to you. Good luck.
Alrighty, thank you.